Hello students, welcome to Social Science online classes. In the last session, we discussed the salient features of our constitution. In this session, we will discuss the fundamental rights and duties. Now let us know what are fundamental rights. What is the meaning of rights? Rights literally means those freedoms which are essential for personal good as well as the good of the community. Fundamental rights provide the social and political atmosphere necessary for the development of the personality of citizens. They are also essential for the success of a democracy. There were 7 fundamental rights mentioned in the third part of our constitution. But however, after the 44th Amendment, the right to property has been abolished. So, there are only 6 fundamental rights at present. Rights of an Indian. Which are those 6 rights of an Indian? The 6 fundamental rights are right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. Now, let's discuss them one by one. The first one is right to equality. This right is very necessary for the success of democracy. Under this right, all the citizens are equal socially and economically before the law. It means all are equal in the eyes of law and nobody is above the law. All should get equal protection of law and none should be discriminated on the basis of their caste, religion, gender, or place of birth. Then, prohibition of discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. People should not be discriminated. Equality of opportunity in the matters of employment. It means under this right, untouchability is an offense. The right has enabled every citizen to get an equal opportunity to join government service. Next one is right to freedom. It is one of the important fundamental rights. Under this right, one who expresses his own opinion, to conduct meetings without arms, to establish organizations, to live anywhere in India, and to follow any profession and move around the country. It is a protective right also, and no one can be arrested without proper reason. Now, let's have a look of a right to freedom point wise. Right to freedom and expression which enable an individual to participate in public activities, freedom to assemble peacefully without arms, freedom to form associations or unions, freedom to move freely throughout the territory in India, freedom to reside and settle in any part of the territory in India, freedom to practice any profession or to carry on any occupation, trade, or business. No state law can snatch the life and freedom of a citizen according to the right to freedom. The next one is right against exploitation. The aim of this right is to prevent exploitation of women, children, the poor, and the weak. Begging, the Devdasi system, the practice of sati, immoral activities, and forced labor have been prohibited. Abolition of trafficking in human beings and begging forced labor. Abolition of employment of children below the age of 14 years in a dangerous jobs like factories, mining, industries, and other dangerous occupation is punishable under law. The next one is right to freedom of religion. Since India is a secular country, no religion has been given the status of a national religion. Secular country means India respects all the religions. A particular religion is not considered as a national religion. The government of India respects all the religions equally. So, India is declared as a secular country, and India is the only secular country in the world. Citizens can accept any religion that their conscience dictates, practice it, and propagate it. All religions are equal before the state, and no religion shall be given preference over others. Means all the religions are treated equally. Citizens are free to preach, practice, and propagate any religion of their choice. The objective of this right is to sustain the principle of secularism in India. No one can be forced to pay taxes for the management of religious institutions, and use of religious places for political and other activities has been prohibited in the country. Next one is cultural and educational rights. Any community which has a language and a script of its own has the right to conserve and develop them. It means all the citizens of the country have their own language, script, and culture, and it is the duty of the state to protect them. This right protects the interest of religious and linguistic minorities. No citizen can be discriminated against for admission in state or state aided institutions. It means no one can be denied admission in a government aided institutions or institutions run by the minorities. Next one is right to constitutional remedies. This right empowers the citizens to move a court of law in case of any denial of fundamental rights. The Constitution has not only given fundamental rights to the citizens of India but also guaranteed them under Article 32. Whenever the rights are violated, either by a person or a state government or the central government, the citizens may appeal directly to the Supreme Court for their protection. Okay, the Supreme Court is empowered to enforce the fundamental rights. Hence, it is called the protector of fundamental rights. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has called this right the heart and soul of the Constitution. Even the high courts have the powers to pass the writs under Article 226. Now let's have a look over the types of writs. Types of writs. What is a writ then? Anything that is issued under an authority, letter of law issued by court under its seal to an official to act to do something, or formal written order. This is the meaning of a writ. Writs issued by Supreme Court under Article 32 and High Courts under Article 226 of the Constitution of India. The different types of writs are habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari. Now let's learn them one by one. Writ of habeas corpus. What is this habeas corpus? The meaning of habeas corpus is produce the body or to have a body. Bring the imprisoned individual to the court and show the valid reason for his detention. It means the order passed by the Supreme Court or the High Court to produce a person within specified time is called habeas corpus. This protects the individual right of a person. Next writ is writ of mandamus. The meaning of this is we command. What it is? We command. When the legislature, executive, or any other subordinate institutions fail to perform certain duties or works, the Supreme Court or the High Court orders them to perform these works. It means when the legislature, executive, or the other subordinate institutions fail to do the duties or the work, that time what happens? The Supreme Court or the High Court orders them to do these works. So this order is called mandamus. But the order cannot be passed against private individual, governor, or the president. Next one is writ of prohibition. It means not allowing or to forbid. The meaning of prohibition is a writ of prohibition is not allowing or to forbid. See here, when a subordinate court passes a judgment beyond its jurisdiction or the judgment is against the sense of natural justice, the higher court pass order against such judgments. This order is called as prohibition. This can be passed against the lower court by the higher court, but the lower courts cannot pass this to the higher courts. Okay. Next one is writ of certiorari. It means, certiorari means to be certified. What it is? To be certified. Through this writ, Supreme Court and High Court can command the lower courts to submit its records for the review. What it is? Through this writ, the Supreme Court and the High Court can command the lower courts to submit its records for their review. In the review, it is checked that whether the lower court judgments are illegal or what. If the court's judgments are found to be illegal, then they are quashed. What happens? Then if the Supreme Court or the High Court finds the lower court's judgments are found to be illegal, then they are quashed, means they are finished, which means their judgment has no value now and it is not to be followed. And in such case what happens? The higher court, it is usually issued by the higher court to the lower court saying that you are not able to do it, So either transfer the case to the High Court or finish the case. Okay. The next one is writ of quo warranto. It means any person can file a writ of quo warranto in a High Court. The meaning of quo warrant is by what authority? By what authority? Now let's understand this with a simple example. Let's try to understand this writ of quo warranto with a simple example. Now see, suppose after 10th you want to get admission in a good college. Suppose what is necessary? So you must have cleared college entrance eligibility, whether it is clearing uh, clearing the 10th clearing the 10th standard board exam, or getting a minimum marks required, or qualifying a entrance exam. Okay, you must have qualified in a college entrance eligibility. To get a admission in a good college, what is necessary? You must have cleared 10th board exams to get the seat in a good college for PU 1 and 2, or else you must have cleared the college entrance eligibility test. Okay, so if it is found that you are there in the college, you have taken the admission illegally, and if it is found that you have not cleared the entrance eligibility, then what happens? You can be removed from the college. The college has the right to remove you from the college. Exactly, this principle is followed in quo warranto. By using this writ, court can question any public officer that by what authority have you assumed this public office. If the officer's title is defective, then he has to vacate the office. Okay, the court can ask him to vacate the office. Okay, now let's see how to remember all these 5 types of writs. That is habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. One easy technique to remember this is frame a sentence, that is, hello mister, please come in queue. Hello mister, please come in queue. Queue. It means H, hello. H stands for habeas corpus. Mr. M stands for mandamus. Please, P stands for prohibition. Come, C stands for certiorari. Q, Q-U-E, Q stands for quo warranto. Okay, now let's discuss the fundamental duties. See, rights and duties are the two faces of the same coin. Rights without duties have no value. 10 fundamental duties were included in 4th chapter A part, Article 51A, with the 42nd Amendment to the Constitution. With the 86th Amendment in 2002, there are now 11 fundamental duties. Let's discuss them one by one. The first duty, to abide by the Constitution and to respect ideals of a constitution and institution, the national flag and the national anthem, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Third one is to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. Fifth one is to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, linguistic and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practice, to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. Seventh one, to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Eighth one, to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. Ninth one, to safeguard public property and to abjure violence. Tenth one, to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of and endeavor and collective activities. Next one, to provide opportunities of education to the children by their parents. Thank you.